we've been living in a post-truth society for a little while now.
Quite some time.
Yeah, no, nothing is real. People can just say things, and there are no consequences for if what they say is objectively wrong.
Yeah, once conservatives not weaponized fact checkers, but like weaponized opinion against fact checkers and just lied and said that they're all liberals.
Yeah.
Everything went to hell after that. Because now we don't even get PolitiFact like under these articles. We just get Grok.
No, Snopes doesn't matter. Yeah, at Grok, is this true?
At Grok, is this true?
And even if Grok says no, this isn't true, it doesn't matter.
It's then Grok is woke and we need to change Grok.
Exactly, and that's exactly what happens. And this extends even so far as political leadership. And look, I know politicians' job is lie. Like, this is what they do. They use their words to obfuscate truth from you. But I don't know if it's ever been this blatant.
Yeah.
It is incredibly obvious right now because obviously we're in a government shutdown. We will break all this down in a little while. But the leading argument from the Republican Party is Democrats shut down the government because they want to give undocumented immigrants health care.
False.
Just not true.
They're just lying through their teeth, man.
Yeah.
And it used to be when politicians lied, they would lie by not answering the question. They would lie by, instead of answering a question, they would just go on and just like do their talking points instead, or they would try and artfully dodge it and reframe the narrative and put it back on whoever asked the question or whatever. They wouldn't just say no.
Yeah. And Mike Johnson was caught in this lie when he was talking to Caitlin Collins, I believe on the night that the shutdown began. And Caitlin Collins was like, well, Democrats, like in the counter offer bill that they proposed, they were just restoring the Medicaid cuts, right? There was no healthcare funding for undocumented immigrants. And Mike Johnson just was like, well, yeah, there is.
He said, yes.
Like,
and she said, I read the bill. It's not in the bill. And he goes, nope.
And then after he said that, the Republican Party Twitter put out this tweet that was like, Democrats want to give undocumented immigrants free health care. And then it was screenshots of the bill that Democrats proposed. And in the screenshots, it disproved the talking point.
It's like nobody is even going to read that on their side because they're just going to look at the tweet and they're just going to be like, oh, yeah, it's true.
Like the list of immigrants that would have gotten Medicaid under the Democrats' proposed bill, it was all like legal immigrants through various different programs. And it's so fucking infuriating that they can just pivot to, oh, this person's undocumented, therefore they're bad, or blame any political issue on undocumented immigrants as a whole. They do it on everything.
And honestly, this takes me back to Kamala Harris' book.
Yes.
This takes me back to 107 Days because there's this line in there that still is sticking with me, and I don't think it's ever going to leave me. When she's talking about the issue of immigration, and she says, I wasn't going to gaslight the American people into thinking that immigration wasn't an issue because they believed it was an issue. They believe that, like, this is an issue.
Yeah.
They believe in the things that Mike Johnson says, which are just wrong. They're just a blatant lie. It's disproven. It's flatly in front of your face that he is not telling you the truth, and yet they still believe him.
Yeah.
That's not you gaslighting the American people by telling them that they're wrong. That's you allowing them to gaslight you and shape public policy because of it and continue to push the Overton window right.
Yeah, correcting the record is not gaslighting people.
Yeah.
In fact, it's the only way to make progress if people believe falsehoods.
By treating immigration like an invasion, we allow Mike Johnson to talk about things like this.
Yeah.
Like, this is wholly like they wouldn't lie about like other things so blatantly, but because they just get to run away with immigration, they say whatever they want.
Yeah, and it is worth dealing with the principle more directly, right? Like, they're accusing Democrats of giving undocumented people free health care. That's not what's happening. Medicaid, like, it's just simply not the case. Like, you can look at the text of the bill. That's not what's happening. But, like, maybe this is a hot take, but I think undocumented immigrants should get free health care.
I think, like, everybody should have health care.
Maybe it should be insured by the federal government like every other industrialized nation on the planet. Immigrants are people. They pay taxes into our system of laws. I think they should benefit from the taxes they pay in.
Yeah, they low-key put more taxes in than they take out.
Yeah, and it's besides the point because overall Medicaid spending is like 1% on undocumented folks. And it's only because of like emergency room visits, right?
And like California.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not a thing. They just get to pivot to blaming immigrants for like all of their problems. And that's why I say we live in a post-truth society. Nothing is real. They just claim that it's true and their base just believes it. Like what are we supposed to do?
No, I genuinely don't know, and it's something you struggle with because I don't want to say just like lie back because you don't have to lie back. You could just tell the truth. It's just about having, I guess, the underlying infrastructure to get the truth out there, which sounds like a corny statement, but it's real. Like you just have to be able to have like a messaging apparatus to get the truth out there in a way that people want to hear it because it's not enough anymore for something to just be true. I think you have to get out there and say things that are true in an entertaining way and in a way that's like sloppy enough to do well on social media.
Yeah, and I feel like nobody even wants to like poke holes in what Republicans say, because like JD Vance, I think, was on some news program and he went out and said like Democrats want undocumented people to just go in and get free healthcare at the expense of the American taxpayer. And it's like, okay, undocumented immigrants go into the hospital, maybe those costs get reimbursed by like the emergency Medicaid funding, right? That's it's a rare thing, but it does happen. What's the alternative?
Yeah.
Hospitals like reject care. We have bodies piling up in the streets.
It's a good thing for society when emergency rooms don't turn people away because they think either they can't pay or they think that they're not a citizen.
Yeah.
It's actually bad for sick people to be walking around the street.
Yeah.
It's not good for society. It's fine. I think the taxpayer is okay with eating that incidental cost.
But yeah, anyway, you know, we live, nothing is real anymore. We're fighting against the forces of evil. And look, we're here making a podcast.
We just have to like do the truth, but like brain rot.
Yeah.
Then we'll get the kids.
Oh,
we'll get the youth.
The DNC did some brain rot today. Did you see?
No.
What they did some, I don't think I can describe it genuinely. They posted some dumb shit that had like the TikTok AI voiceover.
The cats?
And it was the cats.
Okay, yeah, I saw that too. I also couldn't describe it. You're just going to have to check that one out for yourself.
Yeah, sorry. Go find that yourself, viewer. I don't think that's effective, to be clear.
No, because that's not like the brain, like that's just, that's just a bad video.
They went too far in the Gen Z, like, yeah, it's not really brain rot. It's just like, slop.
Yeah, it's like I don't even know how to describe it, man. Who fucking knows, man? I don't even know anymore. I don't even know how to comment anymore, but you know we will.
I wish Democrats were cool.
Real.
Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Welcome.
It's October 2nd. We're bringing you more Hit-O. We're done with the Kamala Harris book. Thank you for everyone who tuned in for the Kamala Harris book.
Yeah, it was truly great, I guess, seeing the reception that we got to the Kamala Harris book, not the reception that the book got in general.
Yeah.
But it was nice to take a break from the news and do the Kamala Harris book review and just rant about something for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Unlike how we rant for multiple things for about 30 minutes each on this episode.
That's right. So thank you for I don't know, humoring us on the Kamala Harris book.
It seems like you guys like that. If you want more things like that, please let us know.
Yeah, we today though we'll be taking a pivot and talking all about the fucking Republican Party.
Yeah.
The source of evil, the source of suffering in the world, the Republican Party.
We like splitting our time between shitting on Democrats who don't do enough and shitting on Republicans who do too much of the wrong thing. And today we find ourselves talking about the people who are doing evil.
Yeah, I hear that's called bipartisanship.
Yes.
So this is a bipartisan podcast, of course. But before we get into the show, I will remind you all, I will beg and plead with you to support independent media like Hit-O.
Exactly.
Become a patron.
Pop on the Patreon.
You get early access. We're not just like asking for something for nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
You get early access to all of our stuff.
And then postcards for those of you wonderful people in the postcard program. Those are going out soon.
Those are enveloped up right now back there.
I just gotta put my stamps on them, put my addresses on them. Then you're good.
And then it's over. Then you're getting those in your hands. So if you want some of that, if you want to get in on that action, you got to go become a patron. All of our links are in the description if you want to support the show on the various platforms. Also, before we get to our Apple reviews, I will say we put a little poll on our Patreon about potentially starting a Hit-O Media LLC Substack. So if you'd be interested in prose or the written word from your favorite podcasters here, let us know.
Please let us know. We're shooting around some ideas.
Yeah.
Thinking about expanding horizontally.
Yeah, we're thinking of ways that we can grow, tap into new audiences. So if you know, especially if you know anybody in your life that doesn't like to listen to long form stuff, maybe doesn't like the clips, but would enjoy reading about some news segments that we do here on the show and repurpose into the written word, let us know if that's something you think people would like.
We think it'd make the show a bit more shareable for the people that aren't Hit-O heads who have maxed out their attention spans and sit here for 2 hours to listen to us talk twice a week.
Yeah.
Most people aren't like you. Most people aren't that good. And so for the worst of us, we want to be able to share this around there.
Yeah, people who like to read, fucking scumbags.
dumbass.
So if that's something that interests you, or you think that would be good for sharing our content with others, please do let us know. We're thinking of ways that we can expand Hit-O all the time. And we're thinking, at least as of right now, we're thinking this would just be like a free thing.
Yes.
Like we're not thinking of paywalling it. So
We'd
let us know.
probably have a thing on there for just general support.
Yeah, that'd be the idea.
That'd be the idea.
Apparently
And
Substack's big, so.
we greatly appreciate general support on there. What can I say? But
Yeah.
also Patreon and whatnot.
Anyways, another way you can support the show right now is by leaving a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify, starting with the Apple ones here, getting to the Spotify ones at the end. Only one on Apple here today. Fucking rip, dude.
Fucked
Rip.
up.
This one from Ava St. Clair, Hiddo Nation Rises, 2-year listener, second-time reviewer, and soon-to-be second-time meet and greeter.
Oh, shit.
These boys have been a staple in my media diet since I found them in 2023, and even as we're living through the literally darkest timeline, they help keep the doomer mindset at bay without giving up on staying informed. Can't recommend seeing them live enough. They're just as poignant and kind as they come across on the pod.
Huge on this.
Go get the ticks while you can. The drive from Northwest Indiana was worth it 10 times over. As always, I condemn Hamas and political violence, especially against minorities like white Christian men.
Hell yeah.
So true, brother. Thanks for all that you do, Jeremy and Gage, my totally non-parasocial friends. And without further ado, let's hear about this terrible book written by a stand-up cop who lost bigly. That was for the last episode, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And thank you for shouting out our live events, 2 of which are coming up.
Exactly. If you're listening to this on Friday, you got like 24 hours.
That's right. Yeah.
To pull up to the one we have at the Southfield Public Library to learn about how to podcast.
That's right. We're doing another installment of Intro to Podcasting. That's on the 4th. That's this Saturday, 2 p.m. Completely free event, no registration required. And then we're also giving a presentation, of course, at the Michigan Sociological Association Conference at Wayne State University on the 18th, later this month.
Yes.
You do have to register for that one. Link is in the description.
Is unfortunately paywalled. Nothing we could have done about that. We just got invited to an event that's being hosted by not us.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's unfortunately paywalled, but we will be doing something novel there.
Too true.
Too true.
Too true.
True, true.
So I think it's time to get into the fucking show then.
Yeah, speaking of things that aren't novel, we have government shutdowns under Trump. Now, the first time this happened, well, I guess the notable time that this happened under Trump, it was the longest ever, I believe, 35 days under Trump 1.
Yeah. 2018, I think. Yeah.
Hopefully we don't have that going on here, but if we do, we know it's the Republicans' fault.
So the government has officially shut down.
Yes, it is what it is.
It's Jover.
It's Jover.
It's literally Jover. We are day 2 into the shutdown right now as of recording this. The government shut down at the beginning of the day in the wee hours of the morning on October 1st because the Republican Party said, fuck it. No more healthcare.
This is strictly because the Republican Party doesn't want to negotiate.
Yes.
I like it's 100%. Like this is the whole point. Like you don't have 60. You got to get votes from the other side. You can't just strong arm things. You have to negotiate. It is not the Democrats' fault that the government shut down when none of the things that the Democrats demanded or are trying to negotiate for are being represented in whatever budget bill will be passed. That's just democracy.
Yeah, and it was like pretty calm things too, as we'll get into. It's like ACA fucking subsidies and then some of the Medicaid cuts.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, let's not kill people actively.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the year and then the following year when the Medicaid cuts kick in, like let's make sure we don't kill people. That was it. They weren't asking for anything else, just that. Mm-hmm. And the Republicans said absolutely not. In fact, the Republicans proposed a 7-week stopgap resolution on Tuesday of this week, which Democrats rejected, specifically citing the healthcare things that I mentioned. Democrats provided a counteroffer to fund the government with the healthcare funding attached, and that was rejected as well, leading to the government shutdown that we are now in. And again, I can't express how much of this is just Donald Trump saying don't negotiate.
Yeah.
Because the Senate Republicans, House Republicans, they would have negotiated if Donald Trump had told them to. And Trump literally said, fuck off. Like verbatim said, fuck off.
And it's also important to recognize this isn't just like Trump and the Republicans shutting out like Senate Democrats. This is Trump and the Republicans shutting out like the voice of millions of Americans because those people were elected to represent the people in those states.
In fact, in the Senate, the Democrats, even though they're in the minority, represent more people per population than the Republicans do because of how undemocratic the Senate is anyways.
Exactly. And when Republicans are about blah, 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 we always hear about fucking tyranny of the majority, tyranny of the majority.
Yeah.
This is tyranny of the minority.
Yeah, like what's the opposite of tyranny of the majority? You know, like what alternative is it? What alternative is there other than like rule by majority?
Whenever Democrats do anything. It's a tyranny by majority, tax and spend Democrats. People don't want this. And now we have Republicans who won the Senate, albeit they represent less people, sidelining the will of most Americans.
Yeah.
And that is literally most Americans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's not great. So you might be asking, what does a federal shutdown mean, right? We haven't had one since 2018. We've come very, very close many times, but it didn't ever happen under the Biden administration. Shout out Democrats.
Shout out Joe Biden.
Shout out Democrats, man. Fucking locking in and at least not shutting the government down.
Exactly.
But we haven't had a federal shutdown since 2018. And so here's what it means broadly. The Treasury cannot spend money without Congress authorizing it, which is why the federal government has shut down. Congress went past the deadline, didn't provide authorization for the Treasury to spend money. Therefore, it can't pay out on any of its obligations. The government cannot function. Right. So it shuts down, has to furlough people and lay people off. During a shutdown, every agency has to determine who's essential and who's not. Those that are not essential get sent home. Those who are essential have to work without pay because, again, the Treasury cannot pay out on its obligations. And there's reason to suspect that this shutdown is going to be a little bit different, as the OMB has told agencies, quote, to consider permanent mass layoffs for programs or projects that have discretionary funding that runs out on October 1st or that don't have any alternative sources of funding. Essentially, they're going to do even more than they need to when it comes to cutting down on quote unquote non-essential things.
Yeah, I can't stress enough, like, this is not normal.
No.
That is not what happens in a government shutdown. As you just described, like when a government shutdown happens, non-essential workers are furloughed. They aren't fired. They're just not going to work, and they'll receive back pay like on return to work.
Yeah.
Like they're not missing paychecks, not missing food on the table. Trump is using this as an opportunity to just go after things that or don't align with his priorities. The things that are too woke. People who work in the department that are too woke, he's going to fire you. If you make gay Sesame Street, you're gone.
And to be clear, he was already doing that.
Of course.
And I think he's using this. Him and Russ Vogt are using this as a sort of I don't know, like a negotiation leverage almost. I don't think Trump wants a shutdown.
It's what they're trying to do.
He's just threatening Democrats with, I'm going to make things worse if you don't pass the budget as I want it. But of course, he's going to do these things anyway.
Which is interesting because Trump and the Republicans are going out here and just flatly in front of everyone, explicitly using American workers as bargaining chips to take away healthcare from American workers. Make it make sense. It should be unacceptable as an American to watch your president say, I'm going to fucking fire these people and eliminate their jobs and never bring them back if you don't let us sideline you in negotiations.
Yeah, no, literally. It's like it's explicitly an abusive relationship, right? It's like, I'm going to beat your ass unless you do exactly what I say.
They went to the Netanyahu school of negotiating.
Yeah, but like listening to the abusive person doesn't remedy the situation at all, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't do, just listening to them, they're eventually going to find a reason to beat your ass.
Exactly. And I think this is one of the instances where like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are actively like trying to catch a vibe and trying to come back. They realize they're underwater when it comes to messaging.
It's just not in their nature, man.
But yeah, they're not doing it, and they don't have the apparatus to spread it. If I got to read your response in like an NBC article and not all over my social media, I feel like that's a problem.
Yeah.
But Hakeem Jeffries did respond to this in a way that I approve of, and he said something along the lines of, Trump was going to get rid of these jobs anyway. He's just using the shutdown as an excuse.
Well, and Hakeem Jeffries was on that vibe back in March, right? Like every Democrat in the House voted against the funding bill. Of course, they didn't have the votes to stop it from going through back in March. And then Schumer was the one that ended up caving. But Democrats back then were standing on business saying like, look, he's going to do all this anyways. We might as well not fund his government. He's already doing a bunch of illegal shit. I'm glad Schumer caught the vibe 6 months later.
Yeah.
But it is a little bit late.
We wouldn't have to be worrying about like healthcare right now as like a last ditch bargaining effort and only focusing on healthcare and not the other awful things that were passed in the big beautiful bill if Chuck Schumer would have had some balls and shut down the government back in March. Because now there are more consequences to a government shutdown, considering that like I read an article earlier today, WIC runs out of funding next week. We will not have WIC anymore if the government continues to shut down, because WIC was scheduled to get an influx in funds on Wednesday. So yesterday, a day after the government shut down. But it can't get that because the 2026 budget can't go through because there was no stopgap bill, because there was nothing. So, and once again, this is not on the Democrats. When WIC goes away and when women, infants, and children are struggling, that will be because Republicans refuse to negotiate. And there is no other message that you accept other than Republicans are refusing to negotiate.
Yeah.
It's plain as day.
Like again, Democrats asked for the simplest things: extend these healthcare subsidies and don't kick people that are eligible for Medicaid off of Medicaid. That's it, right? Like the bare minimum. And Republicans said, no, we're not going to negotiate. We really just want to kill people.
Yeah.
And now the government shut down, and now essential services like WIC might not pay out.
Essential services like WIC might not pay out. Fucking people are losing their jobs. And on the losing their jobs thing, this is what JD Vance had to say. He said, quote, "We're going to have to lay some people off if the shutdown continues. We don't like that. We don't necessarily want to do it, but we're going to do what we have to do to keep the American people's essential services continuing to run." You don't have to fire people during a government shutdown.
No, you don't.
This is operating on the assumption that like the government's just like bleeding money during a shutdown. Nobody's getting paid.
Yeah.
When you go to the airport, your TSA worker at 2 weeks, after 2 weeks when their paycheck stops coming through, they're going to be real fucking upset because they have to go to work with no pay. You don't, when a government shutdown's happening, it's not a budgetary constraint. It's no budget at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
You're just lying to people. Yeah. But these people don't understand that, man, and it's fucked. It sucks.
And that's the thing I wanted to add about the budget shutdown is like things are pretty bad now, but the thing about shutdowns is the effects of them get exponentially worse over time.
Yeah.
Right? Because like Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, those offices are still functioning. TSA, as you mentioned, there are still people that are working, but those crews have been trimmed down. And as time goes on, less people are going to show up to work because they can't feed their family anymore.
That's what happened to TSA, I believe, under the shutdown in Trump 1, 35 days.
The first Trump shutdown.
The first Trump shutdown, the longest shutdown in American history, by the way. 2 weeks later, because paychecks fall 2 weeks behind, TSA stopped getting paychecks. They saw, I think, a record increase in sick days. Yeah. Like, people were calling out because, frankly, I'm not going to work if I'm not getting paid.
No, fuck that, dude.
That's ridiculous.
And that makes it exponentially less safe to travel.
Especially when you're a TSA worker who is not a high-paid government employee. You're not one of these guys sitting in an office. You're not the bureaucrats that conservatives like to paint every government worker as. You're somebody who's working on subsistence wages, who is often living paycheck to paycheck, who can't afford to miss that, and Republicans are making miss that.
Yeah.
That sucks, and that's going to make it suck for everybody, especially if this somehow lasts even longer than Trump 1 and we get into Thanksgiving travel.
Oh, my fucking... Yeah, maybe if this shutdown goes on long enough, maybe don't travel by plane.
Yeah.
Also, I remember in the first Trump shutdown, there's a bunch of shit with like national parks just getting trashed because people didn't want to show up to work because it had been 2 weeks since they got a goddamn paycheck.
Exactly.
And it's like people gotta eat, people gotta survive, or at the very least, a lot of people aren't willing to just show up to a job that's not actively paying them.
And it's also just like other than like the worker, which I feel like should be the like first priority when it comes to talking about something like this. And essential services like WIC, who will run out of funding because Republicans don't want you to have funding for that. Republicans don't want to fucking play ball.
Well, those are Republicans' biggest enemies: women's and children.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
The biggest ops of the Republican Party.
You also just have to consider like the non-essential, what is quote unquote non-essential work that's just not going to be done for the duration of the shutdown. That's not work that just goes away. That's just work that people aren't working on because they're furloughed. There's going to have to be a catch-up in that. Government shutdowns just make government run worse.
Yeah.
Because when they come back, your employees are stressed, your employees have more on their plate. When they were already faced with project after project after project and we're behind, they're just forced to be more behind now.
Yeah.
Once again, conservatives make the government run bad and then tell you the government runs bad.
Well, yeah, and then the bottlenecks cost the taxpayer some however many billions of dollars. I remember there was like a big cost on the taxpayer back in 2018. Same thing. And it's because all these inefficiencies and ineffectiveness pops up. And then they have to be remedied once the government eventually opens again. And like the condition for it opening again is very simple: fund healthcare. Yeah, that's it. Or you could probably just even negotiate and they wouldn't even ask for that much.
That's like low-key so chill.
Yeah.
All you got to do is extend ACA subsidies.
Yeah.
That's the lamest thing, but it affects people like in a meaningful and material way, right? Extending ACA subsidies means people's premiums don't skyrocket.
Yeah, no, I saw some people were doing posting some figures today, and there are some estimates that say figures or some estimates that say premiums could like triple for some people.
I think we talked about it last week. I can't exactly remember the number, but the number goes up to some untenable amount. And if this isn't sorted out by the time you get into open enrollment, once again, people will fall through the cracks. People will see their premiums skyrocket to a number that they can't quite afford, but they still can't afford private insurance. So we're going to see people go uninsured. And that is also something that's just bad for society, to have people walking around sick.
Yeah, well, I mean, and not even if you don't like give a fuck about people being sick, right? Because like America moment, if people are uninsured and they have to go to the hospital because people are still getting sick, they can't pay their hospital bills. That means hospitals are going to charge insurers more on the back end, which means your premiums are going up. Even if you have nothing to do with the ACA marketplace, you're not on Medicaid, whatever, your premiums will still increase because of this shit. Because unfortunately, we all have to live in this country together.
We live in a society, if you will.
Yeah.
And that society runs better when everybody's taken care of.
We do all use the same healthcare system, unfortunately. No matter who you are, even if you're not touching the government whatsoever with your healthcare, you're still using this healthcare system.
Yeah, downstream effects will hit you.
Yeah.
And it won't be obvious how they hit you unless you go and look at things like this, like the conservatives in the government saying we don't want anybody to have healthcare at any amount that's easy to pay for.
Yeah, it's bad out here.
It's some bullshit.
Now, the blame game is active. As we said, Republicans have been saying that Democrats just want to give healthcare to undocumented immigrants. This, of course, is not true. Democrats have been labeling this a Republican shutdown, which, of course, is true. And now the question is, like, are Democrats going to get away with not being blamed?
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think so for the simple reason, as I think the American government thinks of the American populace, the American people think of the government as like just some like nebulous thing that is headed by one guy, and that person like is the president. And so whenever something happens with the government, they just look at the president and say it's that guy's fault. And I'll give you an example that kind of makes it more concrete. Here in Michigan, the state legislature, I believe last week, the House, I don't know if it passed the state Senate or was signed by the governor, but at least the House, I believe, passed a 24% weed tax, increasing like the weed tax because weed is legal in the state. And all of the criticism I saw against that bill was, look at what the government is doing to us. People, the median voter doesn't think of what happens with the government and what happens with law and legislation as Democrats pass this, Republicans pass that. They just think of the government as like doing something and the figurehead of that government as being the person who does it. So I think when a shutdown happens, like more often than not, it's getting blamed on the president. And bolstering that even further, conservatives control everything in the government.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
Even for people who aren't paying attention, it's hard to ignore conservatives' role in everything that's going on at every step of the way, from the House to the Senate to the presidency.
Yeah, like all they had to do was negotiate, and that's like a normal thing when you don't have 60 votes, right? Is you got to negotiate with the other side.
Democrats do it all the time for fun.
Democrats love doing it,
Democrats love like not getting their demands in just for the sake of negotiating.
Yeah, at first I thought that the healthcare component of it was going to be too complicated for people to understand why a shutdown is necessary. Right, like I fully support the move to do a shutdown. I think we should have done it back in March. I think it's the only real power that Democrats can exert right now over the formal political process. But I had thought that keeping the message so narrow as to just stick to like Medicaid and ACA subsidies, I was worried that people would see that and be like, okay, that's a big deal, but like, why are you shutting down the government? But now that the polling is out and like Republicans are getting blamed for this, and Trump and JD Vance so clearly don't want to shut down, I say, fuck it, just keep it going, man. Yeah,
I think I saw a Washington Post poll earlier and a Hill poll that put like that put people as blaming Trump more than anybody else for the shutdown. And it's like, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, if it's working, it's working, and I won't question it too much. The other question, of course, is will Schumer cave eventually?
I think he will.
Because it is up to Senate Democrats to keep this up, right? Like House Democrats can't do anything about it because they can.
Mike Johnson refuses to even let Republicans go into Congress at this point.
Yeah, but like it is up to Schumer and like his gaggle of 10 moderates in the Senate to keep this going, and if they cave, then it's just over. I don't know how far Schumer's willing to take this, though, given it's probably going to impact the markets and whatnot, but we'll see.
Yeah, he's going to have his Wall Street guys call him up and be like, hey, bro, you better open this shit up right now.
Yeah, well, that's what happened last time, is he got worried about the markets and people pressured him to pass the bill, and look at where that fucking got us. Yeah. Back in the same goddamn spot. We didn't have to get this far.
Who would have fucking thought? Yeah. And it's like, even if they cave for a 7-week stopgap bill, and we're in the same spot in December.
Yeah, no, like, that might happen.
Like that's it. That's what kind of like sucks about all this.
And that's low-key part of the reason that everyone looks at this. Well, like the average voter looks at this and is like, that's stupid.
It's like, so fucking fake.
Like, what do you mean you can just extend the deadline?
What do you mean you can just fund the government for like 7 weeks and you can redo this like song and dance like on a pace that you want to every single time? Yeah. Like you can just keep funding the government for fucking 4 weeks forever and it would not matter. Like it's so
they did that with the debt ceiling for a few months in a row back in like 2022.
During Build Back Better, they just kept pushing the debt ceiling off.
Every few weeks we were like, hey guys, debt ceiling's coming back up. We could crash the global economy. Will Republicans press the big red button? And then they didn't.
Dude, everything is fucking fake. And it's just what makes this shutdown worse is the actions of not only the Republicans shutting down the government, but what the Republicans and Trump are trying to use this to do, because it's just nefarious. They are using this government shutdown in a way that I feel like no one else in modern American history has used it, and that's just to go after their political opponents. Once again, we have federal workers that they don't like that work in areas that they think are too woke. They're just going to fire forever and permanently reduce those departments. And now I have this Reuters article that says the White House is freezing funds for Democratic states in the shutdown. They're just getting rid of like funds that were going to climate change projects in like 16 Democratic states, I believe. Yeah, the targeted programs include $18 billion for transit projects in New York City, and $8 billion for green energy products in 16 Democratic-run states. Democratic-run states aren't the only places that are getting green energy funding.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of that funding was going to places in red states and bringing in blue-collar jobs.
Yeah, like it's explicitly just punishing your political opponents.
Yeah.
Or punishing people in the states where your political opponents live.
Yeah.
It's nonsense.
Like when we get like Democrats in power, they do I'm going to be the president for like all people, which is like true. Like you should do that because I think that the things that the Democrats like espouse genuinely, or more so at least, are there to help the majority of American people. But then you get Republicans in Congress and they go to a funeral and say, I hate you and I don't want the best for you. And then they shut down the government and just punish Democrats.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Trump just did the thing to Mom Donnie recently.
Oh yeah,
Trump was just saying that if Mom Donnie wins, he's going to like cut off federal funding to the city, which is low key just an admission that Mom Donnie's proposals would work if they had funding for them. But like it's one of Trump's favorite policy plans is just cut off funding to groups of people that desperately need it, so that they are forced to do what you want. It's explicitly an abusive relationship.
And once again, this is just them not playing by the rules. And I know we spend a lot of time on this podcast shitting on Democrats and how much they play by the rules, but some of those rules are good. As I've been reminded harshly throughout the last 8 months of this fucking administration, dude, once again, this should not be acceptable. And the fact that the American, like, I guess, like, the fact that politics in this country have divulged to a point where like half the country finds this okay is so crazy and such a remarkable failure of messaging on the left.
Yeah.
Just a remarkable failure to grab any sort of social current and push it toward the winds of change.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want, like, you know, fucking High Commander Gavin Newsom to come in and withhold FEMA funding from Alabama or whatever.
That
you know
would
what
suck
I mean?
And be wrong.
But I would want him to hold it over the heads of the senators from Alabama that it's a Democrat helping out their population.
Yeah.
Because you should make that point. That's an important political point, especially because Republicans constantly try to defund groups like FEMA.
I was going to say, that's like the one shameless thing that Republicans do that they're like low-key valid for.
Yeah.
Whenever they do something good, they put their fucking name on it. Wasn't Trump
signed the checks?
I was going to say, Trump signed the fucking stimulus checks, and then Biden didn't, right?
Biden didn't.
Biden should have signed those goddamn stimmies, man. Yeah. Democrats need to put their names on the good things they do, or else people are going to forget that they did them. Once again, just like how we talk about in the cold open, that it's not enough to just do the truth. It's not enough to just do a good thing. People have to be reminded that you were the person who did the good thing, or some bad actor will come in and lie on your name and do bad thing.
Especially because, like, if a politician or a party or a president or whatever does like one substantive good thing for a group of people, that group will remember it forever.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, especially younger folks today, don't have that moment for either political party. And in fact, a lot of people, like young people in our age range, will just say like, oh yeah, Trump gave us a stimulus check. And like, that's the political act they remember receiving as like a good thing that actually substantively helped their lives. Of course, the $2,000 is gone now.
Of course.
You know what I mean? But like, these things do matter, and you do have to like message when you have a success,
exactly.
Which feels simple, right?
Well, once again, it's just, you know, flex your achievements.
Yes.
People, good things are good, bad things are bad. You should put your name on the good thing. It should be an uncontroversial thing to say. But Democrats just haven't wanted to, so that they didn't violate fake made up rules of decorum that they made up and hold themselves to and not anybody else to.
Yeah.
And then get mad and upset when they the American public doesn't hold conservatives to the same standard.
Yeah, rules and decorum that fully do not exist right now.
Yeah.
Just like there are no more rules. The law is gone, as we'll talk about.
The president went to a funeral and said, I hate my enemies. That's crazy, man.
Wait, the same crowd that applauded for Erica Kirk forgiving the shooter also applauded for Trump saying, I'm not going to forgive my enemies.
Yeah.
Like, wholly inconsistent.
The cognitive dissonance, it's right there.
Yeah.
It's right fucking there, man. But that's how most people think, and you just got to take that into consideration. You know, sometimes it just feels like all the news happens on Monday and Tuesday.
It's messed up.
But my favorite podcast drops episode on Wednesdays. I don't know what to do. It feels like they miss all of it.
That's a curse.
If only there was a platform that I could go to where I could listen to these episodes early, maybe when they record them. Do you have any thoughts?
Boy, do I have a solution for you.
Oh, do tell.
If you head over to patreon.com/headintheofficepod, you can listen to Head in the Office episodes before the curse of Monday and Tuesday news comes out.
Really? Do tell.
And you get access to commercial-free episodes. And everybody wants commercial-free episodes.
I bet there's also a whole host of other benefits and community engagement that they offer.
And Friendship.
Very true.
Who
And
doesn't
that's
want friendship?
the most important thing
Absolutely.
in times like this.
Back to the episode. Again, giving flowers to Democrats right now. I'm glad they're doing something. It's a good thing that they've shut down the government. I don't know how long this is going to last. The messaging ability of Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer always makes me queasy. I do not depend on it. I do not trust it in any way, but we'll see what they're able to do with this.
And I think broadly what this shows us and what the past 8 months have shown us is that we just need new leadership in the Democratic Party. We need new blood and new ideas to come in, because I think we've seen that people like Chuck Schumer, people like Hakeem Jeffries, people like Nancy Pelosi, the old guard, the establishment Dems, are not.
Well, I mean, that works too. Establishment Dems, man.
They're all
not doing
fucking
anything.
old as hell. Yeah, exactly. That too.
Until
oh
now.
my God.
Until now.
Yes, but like the establishment Democrats have shown us that they do not want to change, and there are opportunities coming up in 2026 and in 2028 where we can get them out and we can put people in who are willing to listen to the grassroots of the party and actually institute policy that we want to see and that will do positive change and will give the party a new identity, and some would even say an identity at all.
Yeah, like, again, I'll give Democrats their flowers for shutting down the government here, but to actually effectively fight fascism, we need a real opposition that has a positive vision. And that's why I want to bring up right now this initiative called American Demands. This is being put together by some of the mutuals that we have across platforms. And it's a very basic set of demands that calls on Democratic candidates to commit to the full list of policies, which includes things like an $18 minimum wage, universal paid parental leave, taxing capital gains, ending nonsensical foreign wars, defending citizenship, and a whole bunch of other things. Again, a very simple political program that everybody, including you, dear listener, can push on your political leaders to fully embrace. And on their website, which is going to be linked down below, they have little blurbs if you've never called your elected official before. Mm-hmm. You can call them, ask if they'll sign on to this, and if they do sign on, then they'll be listed as among the supporters, and you can know who's real and who's not real.
And these are very common sense proposals, and I genuinely mean that.
Yeah.
This is not the kind of thing that you're seeing annoying 15-year-olds push on Twitter saying, "Oh, when I can vote, I'm not going to vote for anybody who doesn't do blah blah blah, list unreasonable demand here."
Yeah.
These are things that I think even conservatives would get behind, because some of them have got behind, albeit maybe cynically sometimes. You go to their website and straight up, it is very on message, on brand. It's raise our wages, fight corporate abuse, make billionaires pay, stop big tech tycoons, ban gerrymandering, build more trains, end endless wars, and defend citizenship.
Yeah.
That's not woke derogatory. That's not woke in the way conservatives do that. That's a bulletproof message.
And just for the sake of transparency, we're not getting paid for this.
Yeah, no, this is wholly a grassroots thing. We got DM'd for this.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got DM'd with a link to this before it went public, and we're now bringing it to you because I genuinely think it's my thought is finally someone's doing something.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I wanted to bring up that the messaging when you first open that website, because that is exactly what the Democrats need. Once again, we are still stuck. At least the Twitter discourse is stuck right now, talking about trans people and whether or not we should fucking abandon them.
Yes.
Firmly on the side of we should not abandon trans people, by the way, which you all hopefully know based on our commentary. But it's Democrats get stuck with the label that they only talk about trans kids in sports because they always bring up trans kids in sports to distance themselves from trans kids in sports.
Yeah.
They're always talking about that. They let conservatives stick them with that label because they have no positive economic message. They have no positive populist message. I don't want Democrats to go out in red states like fucking Arkansas or Nebraska and run their campaign on whether or not trans people should compete in sports or even trans people in general. I want them to go out there and give a solid economic message that everyone can get behind, and also just not be against trans people.
Yeah.
You don't need to make your campaign about that shit. And finally, we have a list of things that people can make their campaign about that people can get behind.
Yeah, no, I can't emphasize enough how basic all of this shit is.
Yeah.
It is basic anti-corruption, pro-working class reform that probably poll at 90%. Let's be real. These are very basic things. This is what the Democratic Party should stand for. And the good thing about this is as far as I know, it's not funded by any dark money groups. You can just yourself call your senator and be hey dog, sign on to this.
Yeah,
or hit up a campaign if you have a primary season coming up and be hey, candidates should sign on to this because this is just basic good things that the Democratic Party should champion and can get us to a place where we can actually win consistently against fascists who pretend to be pro-working class.
Like, this should be the core of the party right here.
Yeah.
We should not be having conversations about whether or not we need to run pro-life Democrats in red states. We need to have conversations about actually making things like better. The one piece of messaging that maybe I'll give to Alyssa Slotkin is that she keeps talking about like kitchen table issues, and that's exactly what it is. And I'm particularly thinking about this right now because
never got to give it to Slotkin.
I know. But it's like, I'm thinking about this right now because we just posted that clip from the Kamala review about when she's talking about throwing trans people under the bus.
Yes.
And so many people are in our comments like, well, Democrats like are stuck with that label though. Like, people perceive Democrats as being like crazy on this issue.
Yeah, why?
Why do they do that? It's because, like I said before, they're constantly talking about it to run from it and talking about it, and they let conservatives stick them with that because they have nothing else to rest on.
Yeah.
That's straight up it. The important part about this is whether or not Democrats are getting stuck with this idea that they are crazy on the trans issue. Nobody votes on that. Nobody goes to the polls solely because of trans people in sports, except for maybe one person whose daughter got beat by a trans person on a soccer team.
But even if that's the case, the Democrat's not going to win that person.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's not a constituency you can ever fucking grab. It's not a constituency you should be worrying about. That person is more worried about whether or not they can put food on the table, whether or not they can afford their mortgage, whether or not they can afford their kid to go to school, and whether or not they can afford groceries than they are worried about their daughter competing against a trans person in soccer.
Yeah, like the reason Democrats can't compete in like red states is partially like racism and bigotry, right? Like this is a very real thing. But it's because the party is viewed as like bi-coastal elites that are like extremists. And I mean extremists in like the broadest sense. Like this label of extremism is just like a nefarious blob that anybody can paint their ideology onto.
Yeah, once again, nothing means anything anymore.
Means anything. And if Democrats actually want to be viewed as pro-working class, then they do need to run aggressively as pro-working class. And that will eventually mean opposing wealth and corporations. Which I think would be very popular in the heartland.
Super easy message to get across. Super easy message to get across. It's way easier to go out there and read those demands that are just right at the top of the American Dreams website than it is to get out there and say, yeah, I want to adjust the percentages and fucking means test, blah, 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 and go out and give you a 1.2% credit on first-time home buyers to go out and do whatever with a mortgage, down payment, finance, blah, blah, blah. I don't even care. It's beyond me.
Yeah, you lose me at that point. You got to be fucking simple with the message. Raise the wages.
Exactly. Raise the wages. Ban gerrymandering. Nobody fucks with gerrymandering.
I think in there's also 12-week paid parental leave, which is kind of sick.
And that bangs.
That bangs bigly.
Find me one mother who's like, yeah, I'm really ready to go back to work. Who has a baby and is like, yeah, I'd love to spend fucking
3 months off. No, thank you.
I'd love to spend 9 to 10 hours at work and commuting home while my baby is in daycare that costs my whole paycheck.
Yeah, then I got to come home and do more work taking care of him.
Exactly. Then I got to do my second shift of doing that, making dinner, cleaning the house. Come on, man.
Yeah. 12-week universal. That'd be sick.
That would be
Every other country's got it, man. Just not us.
Why? What happened to American exceptionalism? We could be exceptional. If you follow this list of demands, folks, and I got to emphasize, we did not get paid for that.
No, we did. I mean, it's just like the first time I've seen any group put out like a positive vision that's actually pressing elected officials. And just to be clear, like they're going after Democrats that either want to be elected or are currently elected for the 2026 midterms. And before you say some shit like, oh, you want to put out a list of demands you know they won't agree to, you're just trying to make Republicans win.
Fuck you.
We do like have to try at some point. Like, I understand that our democracy is fully siloed. If the democracy even exists at all anymore, we are siloed and we're stuck between two fucking parties. I get it.
Yeah.
But we do have to try to push the party we're closest to if we ever want to make progress.
I think there's just a contingent of people that will never accept any criticism against Democrats because they're just not Republicans. But it's like you're really allowing them to get really close to just being Republicans before you're allowing any criticism or any push like further left. And it's so annoying to see. Once again, we are like the furthest out from the general that we could be in 2028. This is exactly the time where we're supposed to be putting pressure on these people. Primaries like aren't even around the corner yet.
Yeah.
Like primaries are in like August.
A year away.
Exactly.
Like 10 months away.
Now I think is when we can pressure people to be what we want them to be or advocate for people like Abdul El Sayed instead of Haley Stevens or Mallory Morrow.
Like the primary process is like, that's what it's all about, right? Like we want to be able to make clear the distinctions between the candidates that we're about to vote on, especially in a place like Michigan where we have clearly a progressive option and clearly, to my mind, two more corporate, ambiguous options, I would say. It's important that we make this distinction function now and know what each candidate supports. So if you can have a scenario where, you know, you get one candidate to accept this entire political program and other candidates who don't want to, it's clear who's going to support you. Simple as.
It's just like believe in things challenge.
Yeah.
It's just impossible, man. I swear to God.
Anyways, that is the government shutdown.
Yes.
Now we need to talk about another thing. And, you know, look, we had the book review come out. I was very excited to do it. I'm happy that we did it. The reception was good among the people that I thought it would be good for. But it isn't great that at the time when we were recording and then releasing it, there was an ongoing crackdown on free speech from the Trump administration.
Yeah, a lot of stuff happened this week, guys.
Not great.
It made me think of the time where we were doing one episode a week and wonder, like, that just wouldn't be possible now.
Yeah, no, things have changed so dramatically. And this week, we're going to be talking about another major free speech crackdown. And I think this is the biggest one, even though people aren't really talking about it like that just yet.
Okay.
This is bad. Like, exceptionally bad.
It does suck bigly.
Yeah. So the Trump administration's made some extraordinary moves here. The administration published a National Security Presidential Memorandum, or NSPM, and this is the 7th one, so NSPM 7. This was last week they published this, and it is, as I said, the most overt crackdown on free speech. Now, you might be asking, well, I don't care about a fucking memo.
Yeah.
What is this about?
I was going to say, this isn't even like the fake executive orders that he does, like the illegal executive orders or whatnot. This is like directing law enforcement agencies to take what is in the memo as priority and do like craft how their agency runs based on this. Yeah,
executive orders are basically saying this is how the executive is going to function in the purview of the law. And oftentimes with the Trump administration, it literally just says something that's not doable within the law.
This is how it's going to function.
And so it's just a piece of paper, right? It's not worth anything. But national security presidential memorandums, yeah, like you said, direct law enforcement to act in certain ways. It is saying all law enforcement agencies are going to act pursuant to what is listed here. And just to further make this clear, from Ken Klippenstein, he deviates between executive orders and these NSPMs. He says an executive order publicly lays out the course of day-to-day federal government operations, whereas a national security directive is a sweeping policy decree for the defense, foreign policy, intelligence, and law enforcement apparatus. National security directives are often secret, but in the case of the Trump administration, in this case, the Trump administration chose to publish NSPM 7 only the 7th since he's come into office. This is fundamentally a message to law enforcement to do a certain thing.
Yeah, and I will say, like, these are supposed to be also within the law. Like, these don't carry the force of law if the things in here are illegal.
Yeah.
But
law doesn't exist.
But yeah, what does that fucking matter? You know?
Yeah. So the memo directly references Charlie Kirk. It directly references the ICE Dallas shooting as a sort of pretext to mobilize the resources of the federal government here. And it's specifically against, quote unquote, political violence of the left and, quote unquote, under the umbrella of self-described anti-fascism.
That's just like what everybody should be.
Well, yeah, but like they are casting a very broad net. This memo creates or basically assigns this duty to task forces around the country, and it consists of basically like any agency and secretary they want. A few get name drops here, like the Attorney General, the Assistant to the President, Homeland Security Advisor, Secretary of Homeland Security. Like people do get specifically mentioned here, but it's essentially like all of law enforcement's going to go after left extremism.
Yeah, anything that could crack down on you might actually start cracking down on you.
Yeah, and specifically the memo orders the task force to investigate employers and institutions that, quote unquote, fund political violence, and then the NGOs that support it abroad. This is anybody.
This is, particularly nonprofits. They really fucking hate the Open Society Foundation, the Ford Foundation, and anything else. Might just get hit with the RICO.
Yeah, and I buried the lead a little bit here because this is where it gets like actually bad. This is from the memo itself. Quote, common threads animating this violent conduct include anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, and anti-Christianity, support for the overthrow of the United States government, extremism on migration, race, and gender, and hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on family, religion, and morality. That is almost everybody in the country. I was going to say that's hit with this.
The most vague that this could be.
Yeah.
And it's so telling that it starts with anti-American. I think it's actually profoundly American to be allowed to be anti-American. That's what the First Amendment is all about. about. It is not extremism. It is not terrorism. It is not violent rhetoric to say, I think this country like kind of sucks sometimes and it could be better. It's anti-American though, I'll give you that, but there should be nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no, the anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, it's all covered under free speech.
Yeah.
The United States government is not supposed to police free speech. And that's not really, like, they're not saying the First Amendment's gone, right?
Course.
Because they can't do that. But what they're saying is we're going to crack down on people who do this kind of speech because they are claiming it's an indicator for political violence, political extremism.
They're going to find any reason possible to connect people who espouse any idea ever with any violent event that happens after this goes in.
And like, let's be clear, right? When they say something like hostility towards those who hold traditional American values, views on family, they're talking about like gay people.
It's going to be illegal to call Benny Johnson a cracker.
Yeah, and I thought I was in America.
That's what I'm supposed to be able to do, man.
The key section to me is the following, quote, the United States requires a national strategy to investigate and disrupt networks, entities, and organizations that foment political violence so that law enforcement can intervene in criminal conspiracies before they result in violent political acts.
Man, they're just trying to like minority report everybody.
Pre-crime.
That's so fucking insane.
Yeah, they want to crack down on and go after political violence before it happens on the basis of those ideologies I listed before. That covers basically any group they could want. And it gets kind of tiring, but this is what the Nazis did.
It's almost a cliche at this point.
They would make laws so vague that allow them to go after literally anybody. It's not even just Nazis. Any authoritarian does this, and it's always a bad sign.
Much like how the law isn't real anymore, and I feel stupid even bringing up, can they do that? I feel stupid at this point bringing up that this is what the Nazis did. But man, it's enduring and it's important.
Yeah.
And it's just like, even just going back to the list of things like anti-capitalism.
Yeah.
Anti-capitalism. How can you even like square that?
Yeah.
How do you even square that fucking circle? Like anti-capitalism, it's illegal to say union?
Or like extremism on migration.
Yeah.
Right? Like what? I think immigrants are human beings and shouldn't be deported to El Salvador.
Oh no, I think we should go towards amnesty. Oh no, pathway to citizenship. That's extremism on migration.
Or extremism on gender, of course, just supporting transgender folks.
Also,
in
just
society.
What is extremism is just whatever the administration wants it to be.
Yes.
And it's so fucking stupid, man.
Yeah, no. So it's really bad. Be careful out there, feds watching.
Feds watching,
as you've been saying.
Yeah, especially anything that's affiliated with Hiddo. Please, feds watching.
Yeah, feds watching. Be careful.
Ooh, feds absolutely are watching.
That being said, it is a scary time, but I will say, just to sort of bolster spirits, I'll say two things. First of all, I don't know that So obviously the people at the top of law enforcement agencies like DHS, the FBI, and so on, like they're Trump stooges, right? Kash Patel will do anything that Trump tells him to. But the people that actually carry out shit like this, I don't know that they're going to be as amenable to the orders because they're essentially career bureaucrats or career agents.
Yeah.
Like they haven't, like they're like George Bush guys. And like they enforced the Patriot Act, but I wonder if this even will be a step too far.
They like doing these kind of things overseas.
Yeah.
Not here.
Yeah. So that's one thing. But also I will say, and maybe this is a little pessimistic, but it's only gonna get harder to criticize the administration. You might as well do it while it's not overtly illegal.
Yeah, they can't like arrest all of us, right?
Yeah, well, they certainly don't have the space for it.
Exactly. Our prisons are already overcrowded, frankly.
Yeah.
Where are they going to put me?
Yeah, it's never going to get easier to criticize them. So criticize them while you can, protest while you can, push back against it while you can. And if it gets to a point where they're literally just like outright jailing people for fun, as they kind of already have been. I mean, Mahmoud Khalil. But like, if it gets worse than that, then we've got bigger problems.
Yeah, you'll see me swimming across the Detroit River.
Canada, save me.
Canada, I'm coming.
Canada, save me.
This will be a Canadian podcast. We'll be like all the people that listen to American politics from other countries, but we'll be doing American politics from other countries.
Yeah. Let's talk about some more fascism.
Yeah, it's time for some brevity. After that little bit, that might be coming directly for us.
Yeah.
Could be. I don't know. Once they get Hassan, that's when you might never hear from me again.
Yeah, we are a little bit further down the totem pole, which is kind of good.
Yeah, it's relieving to think that, like, you know what? They're going to knock off Hassan, and then they'll get, like, Sam Cedar and Emma Vigland, and then they'll go for, like, other, like, bread tubers, and then it's maybe us. And by then, maybe I'm long gone.
Yeah, exactly. I can make my escape plan as they get Hassan.
100%. And, you know, between that heavy thing and what we're going to talk about after this current topic, which will be the Gaza ceasefire, which I find profoundly interesting as a topic, we got to talk about corny.
Oh, we got to talk
about some corny shit, man. We got to talk about our Secretary of the Department of War Pete Hegseth.
Department of War. It's the War Department. Kegseth, a couple of days ago, called an assembly of all of the generals at Quantico.
Like an unprecedented thing to do.
Drunkest thing you could do, man. Just like, hey, everyone got to meet up at this time. You got to listen to me speak.
The guy getting up at the fucking table at the bar, trying to get everybody to listen to him tell a story.
Like, I was a little worried about this at first, you know, because it's like, when this first leaked last week, they were like, next Wednesday, Pete Hegseth is meeting with all the generals. And I thought this was the moment, just like the Nazis did, where they're like, yeah, what the leader says is law. Law doesn't matter anymore, right?
Yeah.
But that's not what this was. Pete Hegseth kind of just went there and said, you're all fat.
Dog, Pete Hegseth went up there. He called all the generals in from around the globe to do a TEDx talk.
Yeah, they had to fly back.
And he got up there, and I can't stress how corny his delivery was. It was literally giving TEDx at your local high school. It was ridiculous. TEDx at your local high school with some failed author.
Yeah.
Because he got up there and hawked his fucking book.
Yeah, he literally said FAFO at one point. It's so fucking corny, dude.
He's like, we need our war fighters to be the most lethal. Just call them fucking soldiers. Not everything has to be war and death and destruction and cool. Like, that's another thing, too. It's like, you're just fucking corny. Yeah. You're just being so corny about this. It's like those guys that get like tactical gear, or the dudes that live in the suburbs and buy a fucking kitted out AR-15 for home defense because they don't want to be honest about why they got a gun because they thought it was cool.
Yeah, no.
Oh my God, man.
Hey, man, you can take the host out of Fox, but you can't take the Fox out of the host. You
Once
know what
again,
I'm saying?
like,
everything's a performance.
He just got a captive live audience. I bet before that went live, he got up and he took a selfie. Like, you know those stage selfies with the crowd in the background?
I can't imagine like calling all the generals and admirals into one room just to like tell them they're fat.
People who do like important work. And I may disagree with the work at many steps,
For
but
sure.
I can't deny that it's at least important to what the military does.
They do real things.
They do real things. They do logistics. They have like actual jobs. They're important people. For this guy to be like, yeah, FAFO. Oh my God. He said, our soldiers can translate that for you if you don't know what it means. Shut the fuck up, dude. The most corniest guy ever, you put him in there. Oh my God. I can't stand that guy.
And the way he ended the speech was like he's expecting people to make TikTok edits about him. Because he was like, because we're the War Department. And then he stares at the camera. Nobody claps because, of course, they're trained to not react when they're in a meeting like this, right? And so he just stares into the camera and it's just silence.
There are so many times where he says something, looks into the camera, and smiles.
Yeah.
Like, brother, just go back on TV. Just do this back from Fox News, whatever fucking morning show that you were on, and please get out of the government. Pete Hegseth is to being corny what RFK is to ruining public health in America. And that's just what it is. I don't think Pete Hegseth has as much power to, like, I don't know, do evil things as RFK does.
But Trump won't let him do anything.
And because Trump won't let him do anything, he's doing the corniest thing, like calling generals in from around the globe to call them fat. Yeah. And so that these people who do important work need to be doing PT maybe even twice a day. Yeah. I think it's actually a waste of taxpayer time and money because these people are paid with taxpayer money to be doing PT instead of, like, I don't know, the logistics that they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, forcing a 65-year-old general who will never see combat again to go and do PT rather than like a morning logistics meeting.
And it's like, didn't he say like doing hard PT like your Secretary of War?
Yeah.
Like he compared like...
he said if I can do it, then you can do it too.
Did you see that video of him doing the pull-up?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, he did not do the pull-up.
He did not do a pull-up, man. Oh my fucking God. And it's like he's doing that. He's saying, oh, you guys need to have haircuts. You guys need to be clean-shaven, blah, 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 whatsoever. He just called these people in to tell them how he wants them to play dress-up.
Yes.
Like, that's all this fucking meeting was. It's just fake. He's just playing dolls with the fucking Department of War.
It's all aesthetics, man. And I know that, like, again, you know, not to compare it, like, I know the Nazis did that. Like, they were obsessed with aesthetics, right? You know, the Hugo Boss, right? Those were the uniforms. Yeah. But like this feels like a pale imitation of that.
It is.
Because he's saying like, yeah, you need to be clean shaven like me. You need to be able to run 2 miles in under 20 minutes just like me. And we're not going to be woke anymore.
He said, you all need to be just like me and look like me because I'm cool.
Yeah.
And you need to shave your face just like me. For the party that's like considering maybe overturning Obergefell and like revamping calls to get rid of gay marriage and just homophobic and transphobic sentiment, they sure spend a lot of time thinking about other dudes' fucking faces.
Oh my God, Pete Hegseth only thinks about putting dudes in tight little uniforms. It's like... Just go back to being a Fox News host, man. That's all he thinks about.
I'm going to dress you up exactly how I want to. You're going to be so... Oh, you're such a handsome little boy, man.
Like, what this consisted of is, like, there's a bunch of new military directives that apparently came out, but essentially the speech boiled down to woke in the military is gone.
Yep.
He literally the crux of the speech is comparing the War Department to the woke department. That's what the speech was about.
That's why it's a TEDx talk.
Yes.
He kept doing the things. We're not the woke department. We're the War Department. We're not women. We're warriors.
We're
like
men.
shit like that.
No more fat generals. That was a big staple right there. Stricter appearance standards, as you said. Many times where he essentially says like women service members suck. Women
suck and dudes are cool and you're gonna look really good clean shaven.
Like, he was never as explicit as saying like we want women out, but it was essentially like, oh, if women can't do this, I don't fucking care. And then of course we need to be more violent. Yeah, like we explicitly need to be more violent, not only to like getting rid of like rules of engagement, violate the Geneva Conventions, whatever, but also like at one point he was like, I'm gonna let officers put hands on recruits.
He said drill sergeants should be able to like do hazing things, yell at you, and put their hands on you. No, they shouldn't. What the fuck do you mean drill sergeants should be able to put their hands on you? I don't think when drill sergeants had to stop, like, I don't know, demeaning every aspect of a person and maybe physically abusing them, that we got like worse at fighting. I just think we put ourselves in bad wars.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what it is. I don't think our failures in the Middle East were because drill sergeants worked hard enough on 18-year-olds who had no other choice.
Yeah, like we currently have a retention issue within the military. Brutalizing them. Fucking drill sergeants brutalizing recruits is not going to help that.
Exactly. That's not fun. That doesn't make me want to go sign up.
People are going to pull up for free college and then be done.
Yeah.
Which is what a lot of people do right now, especially like the appearance things. Like, I think there was a rule that was put in place like 60 years ago about not having to shave your face if you like developed a skin rash or razor bumps for it. And this was like predominantly a thing that affected black men within the military. Going back on that is like, there's no reason.
It's just stupid. And like most of the stuff that he talked about just like doesn't fucking matter. And that's why it's so goddamn annoying, because the things he does don't matter. And I think he knows that. And maybe there's a little bit of him that makes him sad. But it's like, I don't know, soldiers look cooler with beards.
Yeah.
Like once again,
someone flex the beard, man.
Let someone flex the beard. And I kept hearing comments defending this, being like, oh, soldiers kept abusing their medical exemptions to get a fucking beard.
To get a beard, yeah.
That's what you fucking
to
care
get
about?
like the simplest, smallest beard ever.
Oh no, what a fucking waste of time. How unprofessional of our military for somebody to abuse a medical exemption to get a beard. Motherfucker.
It's not even abusing it. That's what it's for.
Go like win a war. Like go do something productive, man. I don't know.
And it's like Kegseth was not very high up in the military. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, and he's just telling all of these like career service members to just like stop being so fat.
These people who are like the highest of the high, like the greatest military minds of the generations they come from, being like, not fat ass, you need to do PT like me. You need to be more like me. Once again, the drunkest thing that you could do.
Yeah, I got some standouts from the Kegseth speech. Just a couple of quotes here. One, he says, quote, foolish and reckless political leaders set the wrong compass heading, and we lost our way. We became the woke department. This is sort of the theme.
God, man, Jesus Christ.
And then he said, quote, you see, the Ivy League faculty lounges will never understand us, and that's okay, because they could never do what you do. The media will mischaracterize us, and that's okay, because deep down, they know the reason they can do what they do is you.
Dude was the media.
And he went to an Ivy League. Yeah.
What?
Everything's a joke.
The fucking demon factories, dude. I swear to God, like Ivy Leagues just produce people, at least the people who go into politics that go to Ivy Leagues. Ivy Leagues exist to produce people who are just going to shit on them for political gain.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's like a lot of the generals in that room are very educated people.
Yeah.
Like a lot of generals go to school for a very long time. And he's out here just like doing culture war to them. Like these are people that like do logistics and military strategy. And he's like, hey guys, we all hate liberal colleges, right? Like what? What's the fucking point?
Aren't we so misunderstood? Doesn't
so
nobody
lame.
like us? He's like an edgy teenager. He's like an edgy teenager that got a platform and now thinks he has like real power.
Like I know the military tends to skew like towards conservatism ideologically, but like do the top brass give a fuck about like Republican culture wars?
No way.
Because like the anti-woke stuff is like new, relatively speaking. These are career service members who have been in their positions for years and years and years, if not just like in the military for decades of their life. Do they give a fuck if Kegseth thinks that like Harvard is woke or something?
Uh-huh.
What are we doing? I don't understand what the point is here. Drunkest thing you could do. The last quote I have is right here. Quote, an entire generation of generals and admirals were told that they must parrot the insane fallacy that, quote, our diversity is our strength.
Oh my God.
Of course, we know our unity is our strength. They had to put out dizzying DEI and LGBTQI plus statements. They were told females and males were the same thing, or that males who think they're females is totally normal.
Come the fuck on, man. And I gotta point out, right? If you're talking about diversity is our strength being wrong, and you're saying unity is our strength, and then you're highlighting the idea that like unity is our strength by saying we need to get rid of women and minorities, I think the one thing you're unifying around is just being a white guy.
Yeah.
He just wants it to be the white guy club.
Well, it's like saying diversity is our strength. The idea is that we are united despite the differences between us.
And it's also
the idea that like diversity is our strength is that like unity is our strength. It's the same idea.
Exactly.
It's just he hates women and black people, of course.
It's just he wants to shit on women and sexual minorities.
Yeah.
It needs to be a dude. He just wants the military to be the fucking country club, but like that goes and kills people. But that should be cool because I believe there were other moments in here where he's talking about like we need to stop anonymous reporting.
Yes.
Your boss should be able to retaliate against you. What the fuck, man? He's just an abuser getting into power and making it easier for abusers to get and stay in power. Who'd have fucking thought?
Yeah, and he had moments where he was like, of course we're not going to accept hazing, like sexual harassment, that's bad, and we'll crack down on that, but like you low-key can't secretly report people.
Yeah, but low-key if you report us for doing that, like your ass is grass.
Yeah, you're getting kicked out, no benefits, no health care.
And then wasn't there some shit about like, mental health services, am I right, guys?
Oh yeah, he wants to cut down on those.
Yeah, PTSD, what the fuck is that?
Which is like, come on, man. We're just creating a whole new class of mass shooters with these policies. Genuinely bad things. But that was Kegseth.
Yeah.
That was Kegseth. And Kegseth was followed up by Donald Trump. And I will say, watching both of these speeches, Pete Hegseth had clearly like done a line and then drank a bunch before coming on stage. Bro was drunk as hell, but he was into it. Donald Trump was incredibly sleepy.
He was hitting those fucking smirks at the camera, the little head bobs, the pacing around the like stage while he talks. Bro was into it.
He was into it.
Ate.
And I think Trump might have like taken an Ambien beforehand or something because bro was down.
Old.
Or just old and decaying.
Or whatever's going on with his hand.
Yeah. But Trump did say some genuinely chilling things. One quote from Trump was, quote, we're under invasion from within, no different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. And then he also floated the idea of using American cities as training grounds for the military. Which is sort of already happening, of course, with the National Guard, but like more explicitly stating it here.
The president should not be Civil War posting.
No.
That's actually like really bad when they do that, even flippantly.
Yeah. I'll just remind people that like the fascist, the authoritarian is never going to get out and be like, hey guys, I'm doing dictatorship.
Yeah.
They're just going to do it in the name of like freedom, right? Because Pete Hegseth's whole thing is peace through strength. Right, war is peace, essentially. And I'll remind you that, like, I don't know if there's been any country in the history of the world that actively militarized and didn't go to war afterwards.
Yeah.
Because, like, what's the point of militarizing? You know what I mean? If you're going to build up your arsenal, if you're going to sink even more money into the Pentagon, still hasn't passed an audit, by the way, you're going to want to use that stuff. Mm-hmm. And in using that stuff, you're going to inflict violence on countries overseas, maybe drag us into another forever war, and that's going to be bad.
And it's like, yeah, like, you know, peace through strength. Like, I can see an idea that, like, yeah, you need to be strong to be able to, like, combat against threats. But it's the fact that you're signaling on the strength part that's, like, the icky and annoying part. Like, that's supposed to be what's, like, in the background. Like, that's supposed to be what's implied. You're not supposed to be so overt in calling yourself strong and calling yourself lethal and calling yourself violent, because then it's like, to me, you're only thinking about being strong and lethal and violent, and that's only going to lead to like strong and lethal and violent actions. Of course, the military is supposed to be capable. The military is supposed to be strong. And that's just a banal fact.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be constantly reminding people how strong it is, because then I'm going to get scared.
Well, yeah, I mean, they changed it from the Defense Department to the War Department, right? Like, peace through strength is having a strong defense. Like, you're not gonna penetrate our defenses. We're gonna protect our own people. Calling it the War Department is like, I'm going to go to war.
Well, it's quite literally the distinction between defending and going to war.
Yeah.
Not to get semantic about it, but that's what they're doing.
That's the idea. It's the underlying idea is like, we're going to go on the offense. And it's like, okay, then you're just going to war. You're going to send you're going to send trillions more taxpayer dollars down the toilet. Also, we can just like brutalize people overseas for fun. And I don't like that. That's not peace to me.
Yeah, that's not fun and chill and cool.
No.
Yeah.
So Kegseth, lay off the drink, brother. You know what one of my favorite activities is?
What?
Reading.
Oh, I love reading. I love literature.
And one of my favorite things to read are the reviews we get on Apple Podcasts.
Always.
Not only do I love to read them, but it's a really great way to support the show. If you want to help us out, go and leave a 5-star review on Apple. As always, we read them here on the show. And if you want to make me happy, if you want to become my non-parasocial friend,
that's right.
One step on the 1,000 steps that it takes to get there is to leave a 5-star review on Apple. We'd really appreciate it.
Just remember, my friendship, it's for sale. And
Precisely.
if you want to become one of my friends, you can go to the Patreon, or completely for free, you can leave a review on Apple. And even if you don't want to become my friend, don't you want to see another human smile?
Exactly. So consider leaving a review on Apple. It really helps out the show. It's a free way to do it. And you'll be one step closer to being a real friend of ours.
Exactly. Now with that, back to the episode.
That ends domestic fascism. Let's talk about international fascism.
Let's talk about bad things abroad, because we are the #1 geopolitics podcast, and there's some pretty big news that came out of Israel and Gaza and the U.S. this week.
Yep.
And just bear with me, this one's going to get a little technical, folks.
All right.
We got Trump announced an agreement he came up with Netanyahu for a ceasefire in Gaza earlier this week, and sort of just unsurprisingly, it's very much a mixed bag where, as the New York Times puts it, Netanyahu gets most of everything he wants. So
not a surprise.
Take that, let that underscore the following discussion, and figure out how you feel about the things that are going to be laid out. I'm getting the ceasefire information from the New York Times that laid out like all the bullet points that they had on here. I don't know if those were direct quotes from the ceasefire proposal or if the New York Times paraphrased a little bit, but the way these were written in such technical language leads me to believe there are direct quotes. Keep that in mind. Underscoring their proposed agreement is Netanyahu saying that if Hamas doesn't accept this proposal, he will finish the job.
Again, we're not negotiating, we're threatening.
That's bad.
Hey, dog, if you don't sign this contract, I'm going to kill you.
That's not good. If you don't sign this contract, I'm going to do a genocide on you still and keep doing a genocide on you, as like every other serious country has ruled and agreed with, which is very horrifying. And before we get into the terms, a lot of them are just incredibly vague, and while they may seem like something that may seem great, I don't think a lot of these things are going to end up being very positive in their execution, although I do believe that it may be preferable to genocide, but that's not a very hard bar. That's not a tough bar to clear. I think that bar should always be cleared, but once again, here we are. Here's what would happen immediately upon agreement by all parties. The biggest part of the deal is obviously the ceasefire, which implies an end to the genocide, but for reasons we'll talk about, that doesn't necessarily mean an end to the occupation, which has been a big and large sticking point. Within 72 hours of Israel accepting the deal, there's going to be a hostage swap where Hamas releases all hostages that they have, and which I believe is like 20 alive and 48 like total, so the remains of 28 people. Those numbers may be a little bit off. And Israel released 250 life sentence prisoners plus 1,700 Gazans who were detained after October 7th, including all women and children detained in that context.
Well, what do you mean women and children detained?
I was going to say, that's kind of wicked. Like,
did children detained?
Like,
I'm sure there's a lot of innocent men in there, to be very clear.
Oh, obviously, but
like kids?
Exactly. People point out women and children because like it's obvious how like kids?
Like, let's be clear, Israel just has hostages.
Exactly. Like they got Wick in there?
Yeah.
And I'm glad New York Times did kind of call it a hostage swap, or maybe that's what the terms of the actual agreement called it, but that's what it is. We came to this conclusion a while ago that Israel is holding a lot of Palestinians hostage. They have a huge prison population of Palestinians that are being held without trial in just indefinite detention, some of them being just children that they grabbed. Shit kind of sucks there. Those people are hostages too. But back to the ceasefire agreement. Full aid will be immediately sent into the Gaza Strip. At minimum, aid quantities will be consistent with what was included in the January 19th, 2025 agreement regarding humanitarian aid. Biden's agreement, including rehabilitation of infrastructure, water, electricity, sewage, rehabilitation of hospitals and bakeries, and entry of necessary equipment to remove rubble and open roads. This will be facilitated by the UN, the Red Crescent, and organizations not affiliated with either party that are going to carry carry out the facilitation of this aid. I think that's important because that means no GHF, no Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which, if you don't remember, is the group responsible for killing Palestinians while they waited in line to get food that the GHF monopolized.
More than 1,000 people they killed around aid sites, yeah.
Abject evil, evil incarnate with what was going on right now. So that's good, at least that won't be allowed anymore, and that the UN will be allowed to continue the work that they had been doing before Israel kicked them out and banned them from doing it, and then caved to public pressure and let them back in again. It also stipulated that aid will enter without interference from either party, so I think that will also imply, hopefully, no more Israel stopping baby formula from entering the Strip, no more Israel stopping bags of sugar entering the Strip, or whatever they can say will allegedly make a bomb or a knife.
Of course.
Of course, because they would stop syringes, they would stop scalpels, they would stop anything that they could say could hurt anybody.
Yeah.
Kind of a fucked situation going on over there. So hopefully that all ends. Once all the hostages are returned, Hamas members who commit to peaceful coexistence and to decommission their weapons will be given amnesty. Members of Hamas who wish to leave Gaza will be provided safe passage to receiving countries. I guess this is what kind of stops it from being the Hamas kill yourself deal, but it is Hamas make yourself irrelevant for reasons we'll get to later.
Yeah, well, it's a Hamas and everybody in Palestine, everybody in Gaza commit to total occupation.
Basically. Yeah, quite literally commit to total occupation, just not maybe from Israel. That's all what happens immediately. Okay. I think what comes next is where things get a lot more vague and where the future of the Palestinian people becomes less clear. Once again, stick with me. This is a technical segment. This is a huge ceasefire deal that got released, but I think it's very important to talk about. Speaking to Gaza's governance, the deal will strictly prohibit Hamas and other factions from having any role whatsoever, and goes to stipulate a complete demilitarization process overseen by, quote, independent monitors. In the meantime, Gaza will be governed by what the deal calls a temporary transitional governments of, quote, technocratic apolitical Palestinian committee made up of qualified Palestinians and international experts with oversight and supervision by a new international transitional body, the Board of Peace, which will be headed and chaired by President Donald J. Trump.
Fuck off, dude.
That's what I'm fucking doing. He wants that fucking Nobel Peace Prize so bad. So fucking bad. But the Board of Peace will have Donald Trump at the head with other members and heads of state to be announced, including former Prime Minister Tony Blair. I'm not too familiar with that guy, but I think people have been clowning on him.
No, Tony Blair's inclusion is wholly out of nowhere to me.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, Tony Blair, fucking dickhead conservative from the UK.
Nice.
Like, why is he relevant now?
I don't know.
He's been out of public life for a while, I thought.
Like, you would think it would be, I don't know, Keir Starmer? Is that the guy?
Yeah, Labor guy.
Yeah,
he's the current PM, but like you're skipping over Boris. What the hell?
Yeah. What happened to him?
Well, and Rishi Sunak and the others. Who was the one that was like 14 days? I don't even remember her name.
Yeah,
Liz Truss or something like that.
But like Keir Starmer's the guy right now. He's the guy that just called for Palestinian statehood. Why are you not putting him on the board?
Yeah, but like Tony, like. Why?
I don't know.
Why?
I genuinely, I don't even know who the fucking guy is.
Yeah, it's like imagine if like in like 8 years from now we have a Democrat and they tapped like Tony Blinken to come in and like shit. Like that's what the equivalent is.
Yeah, imagine this is going on 8 years from now, which fucking probably it will be once we get into the later terms. Antony Blinken, we really need you to come out here. You've got great expertise in this area, please. Yeah. Or Matthew Miller, my guy, please pull up. It's just. What the fuck is going on?
I don't know.
I think maybe that could indicate that Bard is a little unserious. This body will set the framework and handle the funding for the redevelopment of Gaza. This body will call on the best international standards to create modern and efficient governance that serves the people of Gaza and is conducive to attracting investment.
Okay.
And I think right there is where we start to kind of see what may be
Turning
going
this shit
on.
Into Dubai.
That's exactly what I said. See a little bit what's going on later. And so a Trump economic development plan. I told you it's technical, but it's worth it.
Stupid, dude.
This is the language that they use. I'm not putting that on there. I'm not editorializing this.
Yeah.
I copy and pasted that from the New York Times, which is linked in the description. A Trump economic development plan to rebuild and energize Gaza will be created by convening a panel of experts who have helped birth some of the thriving modern miracle cities in the Middle East. Many thoughtful investment proposals and exciting developmental ideas have been crafted by well-meaning international groups and will be considered to synthesize the security and governance frameworks to attract and facilitate these investments that will create jobs, opportunity, and hope for future Gaza. They are just trying to turn Gaza into Dubai.
Yeah.
And I think they are trying to turn Gaza into Dubai in every sense of the word. I highly doubt the people that are going to be providing the funding to rebuild Gaza are going to do so for free and for nothing in return. They're not just giving up their money. I think they're going to expect that their economic investment is an investment and will pay them dividends in the future.
Yeah.
I think there's no other way to go about that.
Well, I mean, think about it. They're going to be coming into a place that has been utterly destroyed. They're going to offer to build things, and the people they're going to hire, if they hire people in Gaza, are going to be incredibly vulnerable.
Yeah.
Is going to be essentially slave labor.
Well, that's my thought too, and that's why I say that it's Dubai in every sense of the word, because Dubai was notably built by questionable labor practices, to say the least. The deal says, quote, Gaza will be redeveloped for the benefit of the people of Gaza who have suffered more than enough. The deal also mentions no one will be forced to leave Gaza, and if people choose to leave, they will be given the right to return, and even encourages them to stay and build the new Gaza.
Yeah, how?
I have to question if the people of Gaza will benefit from this new economic redevelopment any more than just being able to have a job building the building, if it's even a job that pays a living wage, and any more than just being able to look at cool building that they build.
Yeah.
It is just gonna be Dubai, and that's gonna kind of suck. Preferable to genocide.
Yeah.
I will say, but once again, a very low bar to clear. This is going to be economic imperialism.
Well, yeah, but like anything is preferable to genocide.
Exactly.
Like anything's preferable to wiping out everybody, you and everybody you know.
The bar is below hell. The bar is in the abyss, quite frankly. The bar is where nothing's there and you can't comprehend it. Everything is above genocide, man. And like, I think if I'm looking at this cynically, it appears that they're just going to turn Gaza into super gentrification on steroids.
Yeah.
And that kind of sucks.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Preferable to genocide, though. Speaking of security, though, because if Hamas is gone and if the Strip is completely demilitarized, you have the question of, well, these Palestinians may be vulnerable to threats from fucking damn near anywhere, especially maybe one of their neighbors. They have security concerns that we need to talk about. Security in the Strip will be handled by an international body called the International Stabilization Force, the ISF, as the IDF pulls out in phases. Specifically, this is where it gets real technical. Israel will not occupy or annex Gaza, that's pretty cool, as the ISF establishes control and stability. The Israeli Defense Force will withdraw based on standards, milestones, and timeframes linked to demilitarization that will be agreed upon between the IDF, ISF, the guarantors, and the United States, with the objective of a secure Gaza that no longer poses a threat to Israel, Egypt, or its citizens. Practically, the IDF will progressively hand over Gazan territory it occupies to the ISF according to an agreement that they will make with the transitional authority until they are withdrawn completely from Gaza, save for a security perimeter presence that will remain until Gaza is properly secure from any resurgent terror threat. This is literally vague.
Yeah, it allows for anything.
I mean literally vague in the sense that even within the terms that they're laying out, they require negotiation to iron out, and they require further work to actually figure out, like, faithfully.
Yeah.
What are the demilitarization targets? What are the targets that the IDF would then use as metrics to pull out of Gaza when, like, Netanyahu and everybody has said that they're, like, straight up want to occupy the Strip?
Yeah, I mean, fucking Smotrich was on stage like a few weeks ago when our fucking state representatives were there, by the way. One Israel, 50 states, one Israel or whatever. And he was saying shit like, yeah, we're going to bulldoze all of Gaza, where it's a fantastic investment opportunity. Essentially saying we're going to gentrify and displace everybody. So I don't, like, this shit's going to be bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to fucking suck. And it's not, once again, it's not no occupation. No matter what way you slice it, the Palestinian people in Gaza, at the very least, will be living under occupation, whether it is the IDF, who doesn't actually phase out like they're supposed to, or the ISF, which is this international body. I'm sure one is preferable to the other, but I'm sure neither are preferable in general.
Yeah, I mean, well, it also depends on who the ISF is made up of,
I
right?
believe, like, they're being trained by people from Jordan and Egypt.
Okay.
So
I don't know what to
it
make
could
of that.
work out. It could be fine. That's my analysis too, is I don't know what to make of a lot of this. But what I do know is that terms are vague enough that the IDF could just stay. And it also isn't a complete pullout of the IDF. The IDF is still maintaining that, like, border buffer zone. And, like, I have to wonder, what is stopping Israel from maintaining security in case there is a resurgent terror threat within Gaza from their own side of the border?
Yeah.
Why do they have to maintain security from within Gaza's borders? that doesn't make sense other than to just be needlessly cruel. What does being like a mile in from the border do for you than just being at the border?
Yeah, and I'm not seeing any statehood in here.
We'll get to that in a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, but another question you may be asking is, what about the Palestinian Authority? The Palestinian Authority is the body that governs at least part of the occupied West Bank. Well, apparently, there is a reform plan out there for them that they need to complete before any leadership in Gaza will be handed over to them. This is where things get, I believe, like the most fucky and the most vague, and our opportunity for the most bad faith actions from Israel itself. Some experts are saying that the reform plan is a minefield for the Palestinian Authority, and I would just personally question any reform plan that is controlled by Israel and the U.S., considering it is just going to function to remake the Palestinian Authority in Israel's vision of what it should be, which is ultimately in Israel's best interest and not in the best interest of the Palestinian people. While Gaza redevelopment advances and when the PA reform program is faithfully carried out, the conditions may finally be in place. This is a quote from the deal. The conditions may finally be in place for a credible pathway to Palestinian self-determination and statehood, which we recognize as the aspiration of the Palestinian people. So there's a recognition that this is laying out like the framework for statehood that the Palestinian people want, but there are no there's no clear roadmap for statehood or just giving them that fucking statehood.
It's just saying like, hey, maybe. Yeah, like if they had given them statehood before, maybe all of this could have been avoided.
Yeah, it's just, hey, maybe you can have statehood like if Israel wants you to, which they don't.
Exactly.
They don't. Loud buzzer.
Like many people in Netanyahu's cabinet have said consistently that like they're against Palestinian statehood.
Yes.
That's like the whole Zionist project.
And it's also like, you mean to tell me that this is that they're acknowledging Palestinian statehood, or they're saying they want Palestinians to have the self-determination to go and have statehood for themselves, but that statehood and that self-determination is reliant on a path that the international community and Israel puts them on? You can self-determine as long as it's within the bounds that we accept.
Yeah.
Like, come on now. Obviously, I don't want Gaza to self-determine into a place that's just like, we'll kill you. But that's not going to happen. Yeah. That's not likely. You know what I mean? It's just, this whole thing feels like we're railroading them into something that's going to be best for the economic development of Western interests.
And like, many such cases.
And like, we usually don't talk about that like too much on the show, but like, that seems exactly what's going on here. You don't call it a Trump economic development plan if that economic development plan isn't going to serve Trump.
Well, and it's like, it's the most ham-fisted version of neo-imperialism, you know what I mean? Like the entire international order is built up around serving Western interests, whether it's like the World Bank or the IMF or whatever, but this is just the most explicit version of that. Like, hey, we're gonna come in, turn this into Dubai, but it's like low-key gonna benefit Jared Kushner. like it's so obvious.
Dude, Jared Kushner's doing crazy shit. Didn't he just buy EA with the UAE? Or like an investment group that he's a part of just like took EA private?
Star Wars Jedi 3 is about to be pro-Israel.
Star Wars Jedi 3. Yeah, there's this group of people who Jesus Christ.
You can't even parody it, dude. You can't even parody it.
That's fucked up, man. This is also fucked up, and this all sucks. Just
Kegseth is about to put down an uprising.
Kegseth's gonna be, guys, wait, no, they can't have statehood.
Yeah.
We're gonna be like, this planet should not be self-governing.
But do you condemn October 7th? Do you condemn Hamas? Just wait, man. It's going to happen.
But do you condemn the rebellion out of Alderaan?
Exactly.
But do you condemn the rebellion? What the fuck is going on here? Yeah, so that, I don't want to say it sucks bigly because, once again, anything is preferable than an end to the genocide. But other than that, like, if we can accept this on, like, normal terms of what's, like, cool and right, it may not be that.
Yeah.
Much is to be seen, and this could go the way of Biden. This deal could be Biden.
It could be Biden coded.
And it might be Biden. So far, reports indicate that Hamas will probably accept the deal, especially due to pressure from people in Gaza, and the Arab nations have already accepted the framework. But there's some issues happening. I read an article earlier that's saying that the Hamas military wing, who's in Gaza and actually controls whether or not the hostages leave or not, doesn't want to accept the deal because it doesn't meet some of their terms of like Israel fully pulling out of the Strip and blah blah blah. And they also don't want to give up power. Where it's like, yeah, it's kind of fucked though. You know what I mean? Because if you don't give up power, then Israel just does the genocide.
An abusive relationship, man.
An abusive relationship, kind of on both sides, where the Palestinian people are the people are to blame. That's why it kind of it is like I do condemn Hamas, you know?
Well, yeah, of course.
Like, obviously, I do condemn Hamas, other than, like, the bit that we do about that. It's like, if the Hamas military wing is willing to continue the genocide and allow the Palestinian people to be subject to abject horror, that's bad.
Yeah, that's bad, but it's like, who put him in the position?
There's still a complex dynamic there.
Yeah, it's incredibly complex, but it's like the power players here, the people who could make the decision to stop everything and like genuinely give self-determination to Palestinians is Israel and the United States.
The balls is Israel and the United States court, then it falls on Hamas, then it falls on... That's it.
Yeah, like I'm not going to say Hamas treats the Palestine or the Gaza population well, right?
No,
like, I'm not out here defending Hamas, but it like everything in Gaza is the fault of Israel and the United States and what they allow to happen and what they inflict on the Palestinians.
Yes,
Hamas wouldn't exist without Netanyahu helping them.
Netanyahu brought this. Netanyahu literally funded them. Like this is a fact.
Yeah, it's a fact because he didn't want Palestinians aligned behind one political project because he knew it would be bad for him. So he funded Hamas to break that up, and it was successful.
Yeah, and look where we are.
October 7th happened, and now here we are.
Yeah, so that's cool. And while Netanyahu says publicly he likes the deal, which he should, he gets a lot of what he wanted, it still has to be approved by the cabinet and may face opposition to Israel by the far right, who just want to like fucking nuke this strip.
Yeah,
man.
Of course. Ben Gavir's gonna be like, this is a shame on our lineage.
Which it's crazy because like this like news broke, I believe, earlier this week is when like this whole thing happened. He announced the deal. Netanyahu was like, yeah, it's cool. And now I read an article earlier where Netanyahu's like, yeah, these motherfuckers can't have state good.
Oh, well, yeah.
And it's like, well, what about the deal?
But we wrote it down.
We wrote it down. Now Trump is going through probably everything that Biden was going through, and he's like, red line in Rafah. Mm-hmm. He's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, last time we had a deal, I think it was the Biden deal in January, or maybe it was before that, but there was a ceasefire deal, and stage one was essentially hostage swap, and an end to hostilities. And then the second phase was negotiating a sort of medium-term peace, right? Like setting up provisions so that peace could extend over the course of months and more could be figured out and stuff. And that's when shit immediately fell apart because Israel wasn't interested in that.
Yeah.
So I could see something like this happening again. And like, obviously I condemn hostage taking, but I wonder what it looks like when all the hostages are returned to Israel. Like, what is Israel going to do with Palestinians at that point?
Yeah, and there's also the idea that like Israel's broken every other ceasefire.
Exactly.
I don't know, man. And it's like the only thing that would stop them from breaking the ceasefire is pressure from the Americans. Yeah. Because frankly, pressure from like the UN, pressure from other nations hasn't quite got us there. I think it's getting us closer. I think that pressure is the reason why Trump came out with this proposal and probably imposed it on Netanyahu. But still, it's ultimately up to us to condition aid. And honestly, maybe our only hope is Trump's ego.
Yeah, no, Trump does cynically want to be seen as a guy that ends wars, especially if they have, like, those wars are attached to Democrats in some way, as what's happening in Gaza is attached to Biden. But he also, as we've seen with, like, the shit with Iran and other countries, like, he doesn't really care. He just wants to be seen as the anti-war guy.
He just wants his Nobel Peace Prize to, like, put up in the office and, like, spray paint gold. Or
yeah.
Like, that's all he wants. And I think if Netanyahu steps in the way of him getting the Peace Prize, we might see a condition to aid.
I'm cutting off offensive arms.
Exactly. And hey, whatever gets us there, man.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, that's the update on that. Hopefully you stayed through that section. I found it interesting.
Yeah, no, it's an important update. It's very important. It's one of the critical things of our time.
And hopefully Monday we aren't walking it all back.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Trump administration's been continuing essentially a worse version of the Biden policy towards Israel for about 10 months now. Yeah. We're coming up on 10 months in the 20th of this month. So yeah, I mean, anything that ends the slaughter would be good.
Yeah.
But let's not forget the Trump administration has been complicit as well.
And there are like levels to good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like some things, like good, but like it's a relative scale. Moral relativism, if you will.
Yeah. I think that ends this episode. I was going to have some stuff on immigration, but like maybe we can get into that on Monday. Essentially, there were troops marching into Chicago. Fucking ICE, being a fake ass organization, couldn't chase down a dude on a city bike.
Yep.
So maybe we could talk about Chicago and ICE on Monday. There's also that story about immigrants going missing from Alligator Alcatraz. Mortifying. But we've talked about fascism enough so far, so I think that brings us to the end.
It does. I don't know if this was a long one. Maybe it was. It sure felt like a long one.
We'll find out
with all the shitty shit that's been going on. But that takes us to our Spotify reviews.
That's right.
Oh my goodness.
This first one here from Michael Johnson: 6 stones condemning an infinite amount of stars out of 5. I don't know what that means.
Neither do I.
If you have an idea what that means, let me know.
Maybe it's like the Infinity Stones.
Oh, that could be. I've already left a review on Instagram. DMs probably. But I felt I needed to write another since my last one asked, nay begged for the return of Hiddo Book Club. And the saints be praised, it's here. These incredibly intelligent Midwestern mascots continue to keep me informed about the whirlwind that is national politics and an occasional local news story. Keep up the amazing work you boys do. And of course, I condemn Hamas. And in fact, all forms of political violence.
Excellent. This one from Patreon, which I've been forgetting to read for the last couple episodes because I'm a failure, abjectly.
Don't be so hard on yourself.
Abject failure right here from Danielle J. Despite being a patron, I tend to be more of a lurker in the Hiddo community, but I simply couldn't hold back my words of praise for the Hiddo men any longer. As a trans woman in the state of Iowa, Jeremy and Gage provide me with some much needed sanity when there's little to be found here. Fortunately, I've been able to use the skills and information taught to me by Hiddo to spread our holy gospel, and I even got my husband to join me in the ranks of the Thursday Thought Leaders. Let's go. I offered to share my Patreon account with him, but he simply had to support our boys, a decision I wholeheartedly support and a testament to just how worthwhile becoming a patron is. In conclusion, Jeremy and Gage have scientifically formulated the perfect tertiary news source, one worthy of 5 out of 5 stars and a Patreon subscription.
So
holy shit, I forgot to mention the most important part of any good review. I, of course, condemn Hamas and all forms of political violence.
So true.
That one's good, and I think that one hits on a topic that we haven't touched on too much, which is Patreon account sharing. Strictly prohibited.
Oh, yeah, no, we're cracking down on this.
Strictly prohibited. We're going to need a subscription from everybody in your household. We're going Netflix in this bitch, man. It's over.
This next one from Dylan Freaky? I don't know how to say that. Shout out to my summer situationship for putting me on this amazing podcast. I was woke at first, but now I'm certified based and condemn Hamas and political violence on the regular. Started off listening in red-pilled Florida and have since moved to Colorado, where I've spread the word of the Hiddo gospel to my seasonal coworkers.
Let's go.
I'm spreading the woke mind virus so much, I'm starting to think they might send the National Guard after me. 5 out of 5 stars.
Maybe the condemnations of Hamas and political violence for the last 2 fucking years are going to be what saves us in the end.
They're going to pay off.
Exactly. Those are going to pay dividends. It was investment we made a long time ago that we couldn't. It's like being an early investor in Apple.
We've got a track record.
Exactly. We've been establishing this for a while. This next one from A Rose. Premium gang here with a firm 5 out of 5 stars. I condemn Hamas and all forms of political violence, especially towards the podcaster class, like the Argonauts between Cilia and Charty, motherfucker.
Whatever.
Man. What exactly? Jeremy and Gage are my guides between the forces of sheer terror and complete apathy, which met with measured and consistently articulated perspectives, the right amount of sauce, and real moral substance. This podcast is a triple threat, so very important. Boys, keep doing what you're doing. Your passion and hard work are invaluable.
Truth nuke. Next one from Derek Queen, giving Hiddo 5 billion out of 5 stars. I'm a fellow Michigander who also condemns Hamas and all forms of political violence. I found Hiddo on TikTok, and I'm so glad I did. Jeremy and Gage's coverage of today's politics is smart, insightful, funny, and makes me feel not so alone in knowing that good things are good and bad things are bad. I've recommended Hiddo many times to others, including my boyfriend, who I look forward to going to your guys' upcoming events in Southfield and Detroit.
Let's go.
Shout out.
Shouts out. This next one from Nathan Dill. 5 out of 5 stars. First, I condemn political violence and Kamala Harris. That book sucked bigly, but this podcast is a light in the dark. As someone who has been listening to you guys since episode 2, oh my God, it's always refreshing to hear your correct takes on the issues of the week, and it genuinely makes me feel better knowing there are other people who share my views and aren't afraid to let the world know. Keep up the good work, guys. Honestly, I am low-key afraid to let the word know in these trying times, but here I am.
This last one from Gabrielle Guillaume, giving Hiddo hundreds out of 5 stars, specifically from each general summoned in the meeting, of course. A lovely birthday present to wake up to on my 24th birthday.
Happy birthday.
To the 2 hour and 17 minute Kamala Harris book special. Thanking my favorite Americans who absolutely hate and condemn Hamas in all forms of political violence. Love from Australia.
Yeah, shouts out that somebody commented on the YouTube version of the review and was like, this was way too long for a book reviewer. This was way longer than it needed to be. And the first reply from a loyal Hiddo head was like something like loud, incorrect buzzer noises. And that's what I've grown to expect from the community.
Shout out to our people.
That was our longest episode ever.
It was our longest episode, and a lot of people tuned in. Many are listening. Many are listening.
Many eyes watching us. Yeah. Feds watching too.
Feds watching. So if
you may be watching us, but they're watching you.
If the federal government ever knocks on your door because of your listenership to this show, let them know that we've been condemning.
Yep.
All forms of political violence. We've been condemning Hamas, and we covered a book critically.
Yep.
Of the person that ran against Trump.
And let them know that, like, many reviews say you started condemning political violence because of us.
Exactly.
I think that's an important note to put forward in the future now, that, like, we made it so you condemn political violence now. We're putting good out into the world. And speaking of good.
Speaking of great.
It's great.
Fantastic.
Speaking of gorgeous, I got to give a special thanks to our patrons, starting with Caden Kraut, Chris the Postman, Christy Beck, Mike Shaplinski, Clayton Yafet, it's been a long episode, Clayton LaFed, Mark Yeager, Caleb Joy, Rich Taro, Tari Fergalaki, Max Vesquez, Jacob Rogers, Colin Mooberry, Fixer Punk, Jim Egbers, Big Burrito, Cincy Elks, Joe Stenstrom, Adrian Sandoval, Chloe Sam 601, Colleen Cuts, Jennifer DeVoe, Crawfish, and Penny III, Alexia Benanti, Big Booty Beatdown, Sam Maloney, Ted Cruz's Boy Toy, Dictator Jace, Luke O'Shea, Cucker Charleston, Danielle Jackson, The Word of Microsoft, Jennifer Science, Aaron and his Gundams, Darth Father, Taylor for Content, Corey Chambers, Retro Mondo, Veronica aka Raxon, Ash Smith, The Grotler, Murder in a Trench Coat, Casey Lynn Kelly, A.K. God, Iguana Don, Zach Lantian, Austin Greif, Marcus Corbett, Caleb Roper, Taylor Rensack, Cami, Tylen Freeman, Isaac Hodges, Madeline C., Anna Valenic, Casey C., Say Us to West, Particular Pickman, August, Sir Capelot, Jeff Sines, Brenda's Egg, Froggy Gumdrop, Jackie Boy, Shameless, Coherent Babbles, MJ is Sharp, Michaela Muncie, The Wallace, 3000.
Chris T, Kashan Lala, Amanda R, Tyler J, Particulon, Memfrez, Ron Stiletto, Midwest Marxist, Joe the Mailman, Gary from West Michigan, Shawnee GG, Juniper Not Jupiter, Stacked Crabs, I Crowley, Urban Peach, Lord of Forlorn, Holt Forsyth, Booty Snakes, Dew Fairy, Chelceratops, Austin Lima, Lane Waltz, Azim Fida Hussein, Gorgeous Girl Mukes, Brooklyn G, Noverk the Dastardly, Goldthorn, Addy Book, Merlin, Kryl Bongi, Sergeant Pookie, Hoodie, Kim Kitsuragi, Rose Grimm, Kristen, Jamie the Young Extremist, Jack the Heathen, Archer W, Evan Mingo, AJ Torres, Elo Nico, Jake Hall, Seth Schmidt, Noah Sajas, Majo What, Ultra the Dragon, Mercy Boku, Dick Cheney and 6-Inch Heels, Luke Wechter, Henry Kraggles, Tristan Ringsmith, Yaya, Asura the Atheist, Aiden Reese, Deep State Agent, Puddle Pirate, Southern Lefty, Lark61, KC, Cannon Man, Troy H, Rourke Muffalo, Nahan San Diego, Nut Mode, Nick from New Haven, Connor Nix, Sound Logic, Sleven, I Have Never Made a Woman Orgasm, John from Houston, Jordino, Haley Weibold, Pablo Vasquez, Nurse Jen, Soul DJ, Maple Big Dog, and My Mom. Thank you all so much for supporting the show on Patreon, and fucking shout out.
Shouts out.
Shout out.
Shouts out to all you.
We'll see you next time.
Have a great weekend.